Corner three, good on the pass from Wes Enos, and the Bulls really rushing down the floor there. Lead pass to Pinion, he's loose for a one-handed dunk. This is Bryan Hodgson basketball.
Welcome to the Bryan Hodgson Radio Show on the South Florida Bulls Radio Network.
This team can score points in bunches. What gets crowds up off their seat.
In the next hour, you'll hear from the head coach of your South Florida Bulls men's basketball team. We'll also be joined by a player, as well as a member of Coach Hodgson's staff.
Now to Nelson, two-handed dunk. Tic-tac, oh no!
And now, live from the Yuengling Draft Haus Kitchen, along with the coach, here's your host, Jim Lighthall.
Welcome back to another edition of the Bryan Hodgson Radio Show. We are live here tonight from the Yuengling Draft Haus and Kitchen, fifth show of the season. The head coach himself, Bryan Hodgson, has sat down next to me. Coach, welcome aboard.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks for having me.
Good to see you. Good to see some familiar faces here in the building again tonight. We are going to be live from 6 until 7 o'clock. 1109 North 30th Street is the location. Please come out. Enjoy some fine food, drinks, and also you get questions you can ask the coach. He said, I'll answer anything. Coach, we're going to put you to the test tonight to see if you'll answer anything.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm ready.
Okay, so we've got an hour, and again, everyone that's come over from campus, it's a very short drive over here to the Yuengling Draft Haus and Kitchen, and this is kind of our home away from home as we push through this season, Coach. We're deep into it now. We're about two-thirds of the way into this season, and this team is winning some basketball games.
Yeah, absolutely. We've talked a lot. We've got a little countdown. I think we're about 38 days away from Championship Sunday in our league. And, man, the message to the guys is it goes by quick. And so we've got to make sure that we don't waste a day. But to think of the fact that it's two-thirds of the way over, it feels like it started yesterday, and it goes by quick.
I was just going to say, all the work that you put in over the summer to get to this point. You're working out with the military, you're off doing things for charity, all those things to build character, to build endurance, to build a better basketball team, and now's when it pays off into February and March. Yeah,
big thing is when you take over, a new job, and you've got a new roster, you really want to, immerse yourself in the community, and we want our guys' faces to be out there. We want to be heavily involved in everything Tampa Bay, and we've taken a lot of pride in doing that since day one, supporting our athletics teams here on campus, just being involved across the city and the community, and we're going to continue to do that. And I think it's not hard to do here in Tampa. It's a great place to be. It's really, again, as much as you're talking about doing the boot camp and all the things we've done, it seems like I just got here a week ago.
We have a lot to get to on this particular show. Coach Josh Omojafo is here. We'll talk about him coming up in just a little bit. Assistant Coach Logan Ingram will be our assistant coach profile. There's going to be a raffle here. The players have signed a basketball over there to our left. That'll be raffled off at the end of the day. There's koozies, there's T-shirts, there's pictures to be autographed, there's lanyards, all kinds of different things. So we appreciate everybody coming out. There was a game last night over there at the Yuengling Center, 109-88 against UTSA. Season high in points for your bunch, 61 points in the second half. Let's go back all the way to the very beginning of this game. It was student appreciation, first of all, and you've said publicly and privately how much you've appreciated the SoFlo Rodeo and the students on campus.
Yeah, and I want to say it again. I see our SoFlo Rodeo folks here at the radio show. They're the best in the country, the support that we get from them. I've been around good student sections, but not like them, not that are showing up to radio shows and as involved as they are. So we really appreciate you guys and what you do for our program. They're enjoying some Yuengling big beers over there, it looks like, which is good. Next round's on me.
All right.
They're all underage, so it's a free bar tab for me. I don't. But no, it's been phenomenal. We've got a great student fan base, and we're really. It was cool to be able to honor them last night and have a student appreciation night.
Well, they turn out each and every home game, and they're well into that second level, which, Coach, been doing this a long time, and it hasn't always been the case. But for them to show out, to make this a difficult environment for opposing teams.
Yeah, absolutely. There's nothing better than looking down there behind that baseline and seeing students up there in the second level. We're going to need that this Sunday. We want to have our best crowd of the year this Sunday. We're playing for first place. It's as big of a game as we've played all year, by far. And so whatever we've got to do to pack the Yuengling Center out, I'm all for it. I'm open to any and all suggestions on my end.
That'll be Sunday at 12 o'clock noon against the Tulsa Golden Hurricane. We'll talk about that matchup coming up in just a little bit. Also last night, Arthur Jones night. I think this is the 4th year that we've done this. It just gets better every year, and it's such a great night. It's an emotional night to see Arthur out there and to be welcomed by the crowd back.
Yeah, I mean, special, obviously honor there to have Arthur back and to have that relationship with someone as special as Arthur. You think about what Arthur went through and how he paved the way for so many people that came behind him. I talked to our guys about it yesterday. Being the first African-American student athlete at USF, I don't think they or any of us really would understand the challenges that presented. And you're walking into a room where you look totally different than everybody else there, right? And so I think that speaks to who he is as a man, his courage, his drive, and obviously all those things led to him also being a phenomenal basketball player. I told him when he was in the locker room last night, he looked like he could still grab a couple of rebounds for us.
The amazing story that Joey Johnston was telling us before the game is that he didn't play any college football at all. He's at USF, yet he tries out for the Kansas City Chiefs and makes it to the final cut. He was just that good of an athlete.
Yeah, that's unbelievable. And I asked him that story, and he confirmed it. So pretty cool. That tells you a lot about how tough he was, but like you said, how good of an athlete he was.
We talked to Bill Lear, his teammate on that first team, at halftime for just a couple of minutes. He was his roommate. They've been lifelong friends for the last 50, 55 years, and the stuff that he was telling us that Arthur Jones went through, and yet Arthur would take the high road every single time. So it tells you about his character.
Yeah, it does. And all those things combined with the fact that Arthur obviously in recent years had a stroke, and here he is, showing up to games, showing up to alumni events, and he's got a lot of positive energy. I hope we can get him around as much as possible. I love that his former teammates spend time with him, pick him up, bring him to games. I think that's phenomenal.
It was great to see him in Alumni Day, and better to see him saluted last night. His entire family, his mom was there. She comes every year, so they all come from Mulberry. Really a special night on Arthur Jones night. All right, so let's talk about the game. We're going to kind of gloss over the first 20 minutes because UTSA shoots 62% from the floor. They shoot 72% from three. What was said at halftime? Because whatever you said worked.
We talked a lot about our attitude, our effort, and what our standard was and how far we fell short from upholding that standard. I think our team, staff included, played down to our opponents. That's unacceptable. You can't do that at this level. And I told everybody going into the game, UTSA is good enough to beat you if you do that. They took Temple to the wire. They took UAB to the wire. They're playing better basketball. Mark my words, they're going to get somebody here soon. And we couldn't let it be us. And so we had that conversation. We show halftime clips and where we were lacking effort. And I think that you saw that change when we came out in the second half.
Yeah, you come out in the second half. It looked different. It felt different. Joe Pinion gets 2 steals in the first 40 seconds, and then you guys are taking off from there.
Yeah, I basically made the decision we're going to come out and press. We're going to come out of the gate, first possession. We're going to pick up full court. I didn't know whether it was going to work or not, but I knew one thing it was going to do was it was going to make our guys get up and down and get engaged. I thought we did a good job in the press, being disruptive, taking them down later in the shot clock than they would have liked to have been in the half court. And then we jumped on them a little bit, and we were able to take that lead and never give it back, and that was important.
It's not a coincidence for any basketball team that when the defensive intensity picks up and the defense plays better, the offense tends to play better. You guys get a pair of threes in the first 90 seconds, and then you open 5 for 5 from the floor on the offensive end.
Yeah, when the defense, obviously, when you can get stops, that leads to offense, right? And so, we were getting steals, like you mentioned. Joe Pinion had 5 steals. When you're getting steals, deflections that lead to transition for us, that's when we're at our best. And we just didn't do that in the first half. And then I'm a firm believer when you're locked in on the defensive end and you're playing the game the right way on the defensive end, the offense usually follows pretty quickly.
Your style and the way you guys play, you're trying to create offense off of your defense, but the other part is you want to get out and run and get in transition. It's hard to do that when you're pulling the ball out of the net every single time.
Yeah, it sure is. It sure is. And I think last night's first half was the worst half defensive performance that we've had all year, and it's just not acceptable. But lesson learned. We've got a good group of young men, and so they didn't make a conscious decision to go out and not play hard. I just don't think that we were mentally where we needed to be, and credit to them for fixing that, because I've also been on the other side where it doesn't get fixed, and it stays that way for 40 minutes. You give a team a bunch of confidence, you let them shoot 65% from the floor, and then they come out in the second half, they're ready to rumble, and we made sure that didn't happen.
So the game at Temple the other night, you have 18 turnovers, which was a season high. I look back, you had 5 straight games in double figures of turnovers, 8 of the last 9, and then last night you turned it over a season low 5 times. And again, not a coincidence that you play better when you take care of the ball.
Yeah, taking care of the ball is obviously important. I thought we did a good job of that across the board. I thought our guard play was much better, just making the easy decisions, making the right reads, and keeping the ball in our hands, not giving it to the other teams, usually going to be a recipe for success.
You bring in Gavin Hightower, doesn't play in the first half, comes in the second half, plays 17 minutes. Coach, I've already had 3 people come up to me as soon as I walked in tonight, and they said, Gavin Hightower was sensational last night. He was dynamite.
Yeah, Gavin was really, really good. And what I'm probably most proud of is that he played, I think, a combined 10 minutes over the last 8 games, or vice versa, and still was engaged enough to come in and perform like that in that moment. I mean, we needed big minutes from him, and he went 8 for 8, had 21 points in 16 and a half minutes. That's not easy to do.
Makes his first career 3-pointer in the corner. He was open. He knocked it down. Go into his story just a little bit, because it's a unique story, and he was kind of a late add to your roster.
Yeah, he, Gav was actually committed to Coach Anderson at Iona, and obviously Coach Anderson left. He came here and joined us. We needed some more depth at the guard position. Gav just wanted to go somewhere where he was going to have an opportunity. He obviously had a relationship with Coach Anderson, and that played a huge part. And so when we brought Gav in, to his credit, he knew that we had a couple older guys maybe ahead of him. We had a guy that had been committed to me even all the way back to Arkansas State, and he didn't flinch at that one bit. He came in ready to work. And he's done that. Like I said, you don't play the way he did last night if you weren't fully engaged, locked in, and ready to go when your name was called.
We had him on the post game last night, and he was very humble in the fact that he was saying, I'm just happy to be playing college basketball, because like you said, it looked like he might not have a home coming out of high school there.
Yeah, under-recruited for sure. A lot of people questioned his shooting ability, but he's elite at all the other stuff, and he's gotten himself to become a much better shooter just by working, and so I think Gav's best basketball is clearly ahead of him, and he's got a really bright future, and I think there's going to be a lot of people that look back and see, man, I missed on that one.
Is the shooting one of the last things to come around, whether or not that's high school to college and then college to pro, because of the extra time you can spend at the next level? When you're in high school, you've got class, and kids don't tend to be in the gym for extended periods of time, or they have the facilities. Then you come here, you've got the Muma Center where you can shoot, and then when you leave college and go to the pros and someone says, well, like Anthony Edwards, the guy can't shoot. Well, now he's got nothing but time on his hands to shoot, and they just seem to get better.
Yeah, time and work, right? I mean, and having, I think Kelvin Sampson said it best a couple years ago. I think that when these young men go to college, that's the first time somebody actually tells them the truth about themselves, right? Their high school career, they've got high school coaches and AAU coaches and workout guys kissing their butts, telling them how great they are and not telling them their deficiencies. And so when they get here, they learn very quickly what their deficiencies are, because it keeps them off the floor, right? You may be the best player on your high school team and the worst player on your college team. And not saying that's the case for Gav, but he was a really good high school player that had his way with getting in the paint and scoring on people and being quicker than everybody else. And so he relied on that and didn't really put the effort into his jump shot. And he's really put a much better effort into that, like you said, since he's got to college, had the time, the resources, and the opportunity, and it's really paying off.
He comes out of Sierra Canyon, which a lot of casual fans know about in the high school ranks, because so many famous kids come out of that program. Is he underlooked for that reason, do you think? Because there's so many guys that are the high majors are chasing.
No, and I don't think Gav was necessarily really overlooked. I mean, he was a top 150 player in the country. I mean, Gav had options. I think what you're going to see is guys in that mold now, even kids in the top 150, everybody is sitting around waiting for transfers. And so I'm confident Gav would have found a home regardless, but at the end of the day, across the board, everybody wants transfers, right? So they're going to wait and see what transfer can I get, what's option A, B, C, and D, and then when they don't get the transfers that they want, then they'll fall back to the high school guys, and that's kind of where Gav was in limbo.
I just think that's so tough on those high school kids because obviously they're waiting for their opportunity. And it's tough on the coaches because you need an influx of young talent, but there's no guarantee once you take a freshman that they're going to be there the next year for two reasons. If he doesn't play, he's looking to go someplace else. But if he plays and he plays well, there's other programs looking at him.
Yeah, absolutely.
We could do a whole show on the portal and recruiting. It's just so complicated now.
Yeah, it is. It is. I think that one of the positives is that our program, my staff, we still recruit based on genuine relationships, and I think that those at the end of the day are still going to win out. Not like they used to. You used to just be able to outwork people in this business. Unfortunately, you can to an extent, but money talks and BS walks, right? And so you can have a great relationship and someone comes in with 3 times the money that you've got in NIL, and good luck, right? But we recruited every person on this roster without being the highest bidder, and we recruited with relationship, style of play, and really work ethic. And so, I think that'll pay dividends down the stretch. And we've got a group of freshmen here that have big roles for us that hopefully we can retain. That'll be really good players next year.
21 points for Gavin Hightower last night. His previous career high was 9. Coach, you come off the swing trip last week at Tulane and at Temple. It's kind of nice for the team to go to dinner together, kind of go out. It was a long trip, a second long trip, but that team bonding is important on the road.
Yeah, I mean, it is. And I'll say this, our team does a good job of it to begin with. This is probably one of the closest groups I've ever been around. They enjoy spending time around each other. They truly celebrate each other's success, which is a big deal. But yeah, those road trips are long. They really are. I was talking about it yesterday. Man, the NBA guys, it's got to be nuts, I mean, I talked to some of my former players that are in the NBA, and they'll play a game. They'll leave the arena at midnight, board a plane at 1 a.m. and land in their next city at 3:30 for a game the next day. And sometimes they're on 5-6 road game swings. And so it's challenging, but we're well taken care of. Our athletic department, this university, does everything in a first-class manner, and our guys are treated well when we travel, and so really no excuse to not win games on the road. It's tough, but we're going to always be in a position to have a shot.
Coach, we got a break coming up in just a moment, but we also have Josh Omojafo joining us in just a second or two. Quickly on him, his story is really good. We'll hear about his personal life and how he got to South Florida. But as a young man to coach, it's got to be a real pleasure.
Yeah, he's a phenomenal young man with a very bright future. Very intelligent, great person, caring, hard worker. We've actually had to scale him back at times because he's spending so much time in the gym, and he wants to do all the little things that help the team win. Really glad that he's with us. Has been successful and been involved in program turnarounds at his prior 2 spots. Has NCAA tournament experience where he played really well against a very good Alabama team last year. And so Josh has been really good for us all year, and looking forward to this final stretch coaching.
After Josh, we'll talk with assistant Logan Ingram, and that's someone that's very important on your staff.
Yeah, Logan's one of the best in the business, regardless of age or experience. One of the brightest coaches I know, one of the hardest working people I know. He wears a lot of hats in the men's basketball offices, and he excels in all of those areas. And man, I'm so glad he's with us. He loves the game of basketball. He devotes every second of his day to it, maybe to a fault. And we're really excited he's here in Tampa with us because he brings a lot of value in everything he does.
We'll talk to Josh coming up. We'll talk to Logan as well. We're live at the Yuengling Draft Haus and Kitchen, 11109 North 30th Street, 42,000 square square foot facility, that is. If you're in the building, don't forget to go over and sign up for the raffle. Just scan the QR code. There'll be an autographed basketball given away at the end of the night. There's plenty of things over there on the table as well, and also some things on your table that you can fill out for questions, and Coach will answer those coming up in a little later segment. Coach, we'll catch you down the line in just a little bit. We'll talk to those guys in a moment.
Okay, thank you.
All right, back after this on the Bryan Hodgson Radio Show.
That shot's blocked by Damian Collins. It's picked up by Omojafo. He's on a run out. There's a one-handed dunk. Josh Omojafo, hanging and gliding, throws it down. The Bulls turning that defense into offense.
This is the Bryan Hodgson Radio Show on the South Florida Bulls Radio Network.
We are live at the Yuengling Draft Haus and Kitchen. Jim Lighthall, along with everybody from the South Florida basketball team tonight as we do another radio show, a live one here. We'll be back here on February the 18th. The folks here at Yuengling have been very, very kind to us for the previous show and also through this one. So we encourage everyone to come out for the rest of this show until 7 o'clock, and then again on February the 18th. America's oldest brewery, 1829. The folks at Yuengling, family owned and operated for 195 years. A beautiful facility. And glad to welcome in Josh Omojafo to our microphone as our player profile for this one. Josh, good to see you again. We've had you on the post game a few times. You've had some huge games so far this season, but now you guys are starting to stack those wins, which are even more important, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir. Thank you for having me. You know, like I said before, we just building everything one game at a time. You know, we got the right pieces, right guys to do it, and, you know, we're looking to capitalize on Sunday.
Just talking with Coach Hodgson a minute ago about you're 2/3 of the way through the season, and you are well into the grind now in conference play. Coaches always want more practice time this time of year. Players, are they okay with just playing games and you skip a little practice time? That's probably all right with you, right?
I think it's important for us to keep practicing just so we can sharpen the tools and just, you know, just remain pinpoint on everything because, you know, there's a lot of stuff that, you know, we could improve. So I think practice is a good thing for us.
Had a nice dunk last night on that run out. Where you, I know at one time you finished second in a dunk contest way back in the day. Were you thinking, what am I going to do here on this breakout? You were all by yourself.
I mean, at that point, I was just dunking. I wasn't trying to do anything fancy. I was just get the 2 points, you know.
What's the fanciest you can do? Can you go between the legs? Can you do, you know, something Blake Griffin style or Aaron Gordon style?
I mean, I can go between the legs, but it's like every now and then.
Yeah.
But I don't know. The most you'll get out of me is probably like a windmill. Nothing else crazy.
Okay, we'll be counting on that at some point during the course of the season. You got to make it, because if you don't make it, I mean, he's going to be all over you. You know that, right?
Yeah.
So you're raised in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, which is the western tip of Lake Ontario. Perfect place to me. To the southeast is Buffalo. To the northeast is Toronto. You're kind of in a perfect spot there, right?
Yes, sir.
So Canada, and now you come to Tampa. I mean, we almost had snow flurries here a couple days ago, but this has got to be a life change for you.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely is. Like, I've been to school in Florida before, so I'm kind of used to the weather, but I think, you know, just coming back here and staying here all year round, I think it's just a blessing. You know, we got great weather all year round and stuff like that. You know, I got great people, great things around me, so, you know, I can't complain.
We'll talk about your journey and how you got here, but I was reading that Hamilton is labeled the waterfall capital of the world. Did you know this?
I had no idea it was named that, honestly.
There's 100 waterfalls in Hamilton, and it's only, 40 miles to Niagara Falls?
Yeah, it's
not
not far.
How many times have you gone to Niagara Falls?
I don't know. I can't even count. I've been to
It's been that many times?
Yeah.
Have you been on the boat that goes to that, or you just stand on the side?
I haven't been on the boat. I mean, the most I'll do when I go down there is just, you know, check out, like, the arcades and stuff like that. They got some pretty cool haunted houses and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But, I mean, the boat is where I draw the line.
You don't want any part of the boat because you get wet.
Yeah.
You get wet.
Yeah.
You know,
too close to the waterfall.
You can go behind the waterfall, too, I think,
Yeah.
right? Have you ever done that?
Yeah, I went there on it was a field trip when I was in middle school. We did that, and it was a pretty cool experience.
Yeah, I would think that never gets old, going to the waterfall.
Yeah.
Or one of the 100 waterfalls around Hamilton. Before your senior season in high school, you were at another school. You won championships in basketball, football, and track and field. Is that right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, I did. You know, I'm just, like I said, you know, very grateful and thankful. You know, I've been a winner all my life, you know what I'm saying? So I'm trying to carry that over here.
Talk to me about your football career. What position, and do you miss it?
Do I miss it? A little bit. You know, I played a little bit of, you know, quarterback, running back, receiver, stuff like that. But it got to the point where, I don't know, it was just, a little too physical.
You like physical.
I mean,
just not that much.
I do, but I mean, it got to a point, so I was like, let me just stick with basketball. So, yeah.
What about track and field? What was your specialty?
Track and field, I was more of a 100-meter dash, 4x1 relay, stuff like that.
Okay.
More of like sprinter rather than long distance.
That explains the separation on the breakout last night. Yeah.
Yeah.
So in high school, you get an offer from Division II Gannon, which is in Erie, Pennsylvania. Tell me how that came about.
It was kind of like a last-minute thing, honestly. It was like a week after my last final senior game. I had no offer, so I was like, what am I going to do? And then they called me and said to come on a visit, and I went, and then, the rest is history.
So you go there, and you guys go 3-23 your first season.
Yeah.
And then you go 32-2. The single greatest turnaround in the history of college basketball. How does a team go from being stomped on every night and having mud tracked on their doormat to dealing it out 32-2 and going to the NCAA tournament? I think you got to the Elite Eight that year?
Yeah.
How does that happen? What happened?
It was, we had a change, and, we had a coaching change.
Okay.
We brought in a lot of great players, everybody who just trusted the process and just bought in. We were able to, make history and turn things around.
So then you have that great season at Division II, and you turn that into a stint at Robert Morris, who had some losing seasons. You go there, and you guys go to the NCAA tournament, which had to be a ton of fun.
Yeah, definitely. It was an experience I'll never forget. You know what I'm saying? It's like, we kind of started off slow too, and we picked it up as the season went on. Everybody started clicking. We started playing our best basketball at the right time, and we capitalized. So I'm grateful for that.
You won 16 of your last 17 to get in the tournament. That's a great push at the end of the year.
Definitely.
You play Alabama in the NCAA tournament, which immediately puts Bryan Hodgson on the radar a little bit. He's at Arkansas State, but he's got connections at Alabama, and you played very well against them. So then Bryan Hodgson gets the job at USF. Did you know him? Did you know anyone at USF? Did you know anything about USF? And how did that come about, that you end up in Tampa?
Honestly, I've heard about USF. I've seen their school and stuff like that, just scrolling on social media. But I ain't really have any deeper prior knowledge about the school, their athletics, none of that, or coach himself. So when I hit the portal, they just kept calling me, and I made the right choice. I'm just glad to be here.
Were you like, oh, it's you again? You keep calling me. Was he real persistent?
I mean, something like that. I mean, I'm here, so it worked.
So you go from Erie, Pennsylvania. Well, first of all, you go to Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, to Erie, Pennsylvania, to Moon Township, Pennsylvania, a little tiny spot there outside Pittsburgh, to Tampa.
Yeah.
You're not leaving here, right? I mean, this weather's too nice. You're not leaving.
Yeah, I mean, it is really nice. I can't complain about the weather. It's been a little cold lately, but I could stand this cold weather rather than back in Pittsburgh or back in Canada. So
yeah, it beats knee-deep snow any day.
Yes, sir, it does.
You're one of the many Canadians on this roster. Is this a little fraternity for you guys?
I mean, I wouldn't say it's a little fraternity. I think everybody on the team, we're all pretty close. You know what I'm saying? But we do have our little Canadian connections here and there, if you want to call it that. I don't know.
But you're the old guy out of this group. Are you like the older brother to all the young guys?
Older brother. I mean, I guess. I don't know. We all click in a certain way. I don't know. I think we're all equally, family, stuff like that. So
I would think with 118 career games under your belt, you've got some things to teach to some of these guys.
Yeah, definitely do. But they're learning as the game goes on. So that's that.
It's got to be fun to see a guy like Gavin Hightower have a game like he had last night, kind of his breakout game. And Tristan had one earlier this season too, and Adriel has done it as well.
Yeah, definitely. It's good to see our freshmen shine. That's just a result of all their hard work and all them days they stack. The stuff that people haven't seen behind the scenes just coming to light. So that's just a testament to all their hard work, and I'm proud of them for that.
Final question, we'll let you go, but how good can this team be? I mean, you're right in the thick of this thing in the American with a huge game coming up on Sunday. Yeah,
I think this team can be really good. We've already shown spurts, throughout the season, how good we really can be once we put together 2 great halves. And I think, we're at the point of the season where, we can't let any more games slip. We got to keep our foot on the gas. So I think we're in great position for that, and we're going to capitalize.
I love to hear it. All right, that's Josh Omojafo. This guy gets to the free throw line like it's his job, and he's been doing it his entire career. Bulls will play on Sunday against Tulsa. Make sure you come out to the Yuengling Center. Josh, good to see you again. And next time you go to the waterfall, Niagara Falls or any other, let me know. All right. I've only been once in my life. I'd like to go back.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me.
All right. That's Josh Omojafo. We'll take a break. Come back with assistant coach Logan Ingram from the Yuengling Draft Haus Kitchen. Back after this.
It's to Enos. He's wide open. Loads up a three. Good. Wes Enos on that left wing has hit his 4th triple of the game. Omojafo ends up with the rebound. Outlet to Joe Pinion, and the Bulls are running again. Pinion stops. He's going to load up a 3. Right wing. Got it. Look who came out for the second half. It's the green and gold that we know and love.
Yep. The Bryan Hodgson radio show continues on the South Florida Bulls radio network.
Welcome back. We are live at the Yuengling Draft Haus Kitchen, 11109 North 30th Street. Beautiful facility, 5 bars, 88 tap handles. They always have something going on here at the Yuengling Draft Haus Kitchen, our home away from home. This is another edition, a live edition of the Bryan Hodgson radio show. Jim Lighthall with you, and good to see assistant coach Logan Ingram joining us. We've kind of gone through the assistants, and you're on the hot seat now. I know you're up for this, though.
It's my turn, and you know they put me live on the show. Didn't give me the studio opportunity like Derek and T, so a lot of pressure.
Well, this is a much coveted spot to be on the live show as opposed to being in the studio. But they get made up for for the cameras and all that. You're just you. It's just live Logan.
Derek definitely had 3 takes at it. I'm telling you.
Yeah, he did. Hey, listen, you've worn a lot of different hats through your coaching career. But now, as the first year as an assistant coach, you're on the bench, you're an assistant. Tell me how different all that is, and tell me how much you're enjoying this.
I actually felt really prepared for the opportunity thanks to Coach Hodgson. What we went through at Arkansas State, first off, that opportunity he gave me there was my first full-time opportunity. Coming out of the University of Alabama, I was a student manager there with him while he was obviously an assistant coach there. So that initial trust that he showed me at Arkansas State went a long way. And honestly, it's a very similar role in terms of what I get to do for the program, how I help him, how I help our team out. To be honest with you, there's been some challenges. There's been some things that I've had to improve on, and obviously there's a lot to learn at every stage of life and every year. But I did feel very prepared for the moment because of the continuity that we had with the staff.
Was it a no-brainer for you to come with him from Arkansas State to Tampa?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I kind of already mentioned it, but this is allow me to count what I did as a manager at Alabama. This is my 7th season with Coach Hodgson. He's been a winner everywhere he's been. It's an absolute no-brainer. I believe we lost on Sunday evening at North Texas in the NIT. We were on a plane 2 days later and didn't think twice about it.
So I'm looking at your coaching resume. Previous roles: video coordinator, director of scouting and analytics. So let's pause there, because with Bryan Hodgson, director of scouting and analytics is huge. I mean, this is a huge undertaking and responsibility for him.
Absolutely. We come from that Nate Oates tree at Alabama, and we put a lot of value in analytics, a lot of value in video. We pride ourselves in our preparation and how we take every opponent seriously, but also the self-evaluation piece is a big thing that we do. We take pride in it from every aspect of the game, player development, how we're going to put guys in the right spot. So it is a big undertaking, and I kind of mentioned it earlier, but I really appreciate him for allowing me the opportunity to replicate to the best of my ability what we did at the University of Alabama and bring it both to Arkansas State and now here at the University of South Florida. So kind of like you're saying, I like to think it's a big part of the program. I certainly appreciate the opportunity to continue to work in that aspect.
He charts everything, he analyzes everything, practice and game. You guys compete at everything in practice. It's all logged, and all that is digested.
Absolutely. Kind of like you're saying, there's a big piece of that's self-evaluation. Mm-hmm. We don't like to take that off as soon as we get going with summer workouts. We want to have data for the guys. And it's both for player development, like I'm talking, but it's to help them understand why we play the way we play, why we make some of the decisions that we make. Coach Hodgson's big thing is eliminating human error. He talks about that a lot, and we just want to put our guys and this team in the most successful situation possible. And we think that the data and analytics portion of it can help us make some of those decisions and help us take in what's going on the floor.
So let's go back to the rest of your resume. I'm looking at recruiting operations, summer camps. All people do summer camps.
Right.
That's like a bread and butter for every assistant on the rise. And then player development. All of these things you need to move up in this business, isn't it?
Absolutely. And, the summer camps, we ran some very successful ones at both Alabama and Arkansas State. Hopefully can bring that here to Tampa here pretty soon. But it is a piece of what everybody's got to do in this business. I was happy to get to learn a lot of those things at the University of Alabama. Got to watch Coach Hodgson as assistant and see how a lot of that goes. And then we kind of had a smaller staff from what A, we're used to here, but B, also at Alabama, at Arkansas State. So had the opportunity to take on a lot of those undertakings. And I think that was getting that opportunity. I took that job when I was 22, and to be able to do that for those 2 seasons, I don't think I could have asked for a better hands-on learning experience to be where we're at today. I do feel very prepared in a short amount of time.
Real quick on the summer camps, back to that. All assistant coaches are working summer camps, everybody, because you make some money at summer camps. I know when I first started as a broadcaster, they used to pay me to run the scoreboard at summer camp. I'm like, man, that's like $25. I'm all over that. I'd sit there for 8 hours doing games. I didn't care, because that's a little extra money.
Absolutely.
And when you're just starting, you need the extra money.
You need them, and I'll always be thankful for summer camps because, that's how I got in at Alabama. I tried out. I wasn't making a lot of money doing that. I was a volunteer that first summer. That's how you get in the program. And heck, if I don't do the scoreboard right at a summer camp, I'm not sitting here today. So,
True. So you're from the forests of Sheridan, Arkansas, population 5,315. Let me ask you this. Did you ever participate in the annual Timberfest, which is in October there?
Well, as you may get to here in a little bit, there's obviously the lumberjack competitions.
The Arkansas State Lumberjack Competition? I know something about that as well, yeah.
We're sitting here live. There's people in the audience, and I don't know if you can tell by this physique, I'm not exactly built for lumberjack competitions.
Well, you're not wearing flannel, which is a giveaway.
I'll say this. I think they had a 5K one year that I partook in. But a lot of lemonade, a lot of kettle corn. Timberfest is a great time, and I definitely had a few good runs over there.
It seems like a really good town to be from. You get your degree from Alabama in finance, concentrating in banking administration. Did you always want it to be coaching, though, in the long run, or was the banking a fallback where you go to the Malvern National Bank on North Oak Street and maybe work there?
Well, we're a People's Bank family in Sheridan.
Are you really? Okay.
My younger brother's starting there.
The one on South Rock Street?
That's right. That's
Okay.
exactly right. So I wanted to give him a shout out there. But in all seriousness, I did always want to be a coach. My mom was a high school girls basketball coach for 20 years. I always wanted to be in basketball. I've loved being a part of a locker room, being a part of a team. But to be honest, at times I kind of felt naive and a little bit ignorant to say out loud that I wanted to be a college basketball coach.
Why is that?
I wasn't a player. I was a young manager just trying to come up and find my way. And to me, it sounded almost disrespectful to say, hey, I'm just going to be a college basketball coach. I understood the effort that it took and the amount of luck that you have to get in this industry and in that field. So one of the smarter things I think I did, I didn't study sports management or anything like that. I wanted to kind of have a fallback in finance and banking concentration ended up being that. Obviously, I'm not using that right now, thanks to the amount of winning that Coach Hodgson and his staff and Coach Oates' staff did at Alabama, which I'm super grateful for. But definitely had it as a fallback. Believe me, I panicked multiple times about whether I was going to be able to. I took the LSAT in between my junior and senior year. I was just making sure I had all my bases covered.
Well, now we know who's going to run the summer camps, or at least the financial side. You got that under your belt as well.
Well, T. Butters is going to fight me on that because he claims that he actually worked in finance for 2 years. We're actually going to check the records on that. We're not sure, but no, he's super sharp.
By the way, I found a picture of you, Sheridan High School Yellow Jackets 2018-2019 boys basketball team, number 4, 5'4", all heart, Logan Ingram.
We're going to nip this propaganda in the bud real quick because I definitely was not blessed with height. 5'4" my senior year. I came out in the starting lineups at 5'8". So a giant 5'8".
Okay.
So I want that on the record. But no, it'll be funny back home. I was very not blessed in the height department early on. So I believe I was 5'4" my sophomore year. But you got the all heart part right.
Well, they had you at 5'2" your sophomore year,
It's
by the way.
unbelievable. I'll have to talk to Coach Scott about that later.
Totally disrespectful to your game. But it was all right here, though.
It's all hard. I like to think there was a lot of thinking going on in the game. At least that's what I tell people. At times I was quoted a defensive liability. I'm not so sure about that, but definitely enjoyed my time. We've asked a couple things about Sheridan and getting to grow up in an environment like that. Definitely blessed to be from there and blessed to have the stops that I've had to get me to the University of South Florida, and I'm just so blessed to be here. I'm excited about the season that we're having. Obviously, we've got a huge one on Sunday against Tulsa at noon, and I'm just looking forward to seeing how this team can finish this year and see where we can go.
I know Coach Hodgson depends on you a lot, all of the assistant coaches. In fact, you do a tremendous job. You give us a scouting report before the games on the opponent. Really in-depth and good stuff. You're a natural on the mic. We love working with you. So welcome aboard. I know it's a late welcome, and you guys have been here for a few months, but it's certainly paying off and a great season on the way. So, Logan, thanks for stopping by the radio show. You nailed it. You nailed it. No second or third take for you today.
I appreciate it, Jim. We're not all blessed like there. So.
All right, that's Logan Ingram. We'll come back with Bryan Hodgson. We'll got your questions as well here inside the Yuengling Draft Haus and Kitchen. Back after this on the South Florida Bulls Radio Network.
Here's Simpson back the other way to the elbow. Left-handed pass taken away by Pinion. Outlets to Gavin Hightower. Here come the Bulls. Hightower to the basket, up and under, layup good, and he got fouled. A magical night for the true freshman from L.A. He loves the bright lights, and he's delivering.
What in the world's going on here?
More from the head coach now on the South Florida Bulls Radio Network.
Welcome back to the Yuengling Draft Haus and Kitchen. We are live until 7 o'clock. Jim Lighthall and Bryan Hodgson rejoins us here on the Bryan Hodgson Radio Show, 11109 North 30th Street. We're also live on the Florida Alumni Radio. That's 1010 AM WJBR. Our thanks to them for carrying it to the masses across the Tampa Bay area. And I mentioned that the head coach is back. Coach, we were soliciting questions from the crowd here, and we've got a ton of questions, so we're going to dive right into these.
All right, let's do it.
And so, all right, so first one, I'm guessing it came from the student table over here. What is the one thing you would change or recommend that the student section do? And you must say something.
Okay, yeah, you are already pretty darn good, so that's a plus. But if you're making me give you a suggestion, we got to come up, I think, with like a routine that the entire student section does when the opposing team is about to shoot a free throw. Get everybody on board and get everybody involved in whatever it is. A little more of a distraction. I think that would be my one suggestion. But that's hard to come by because you guys do a great job.
Are you going to choreograph this thing for them, or?
I can. If you want to get together, we'll come up with something.
Okay. All right, good question there. Next up from Steve, are you pleased with the defense, and what areas are you working on in practice?
Not pleased with the defense right now, to be honest with you. We gave up 50 points and a half last night. We're working in just about every area, but I'll be honest with you, the biggest thing is following our game plan and being disciplined in what we're teaching these guys to do. Last night, our mistakes in the first half, we had some poor execution mistakes, but also just lack of effort. But up until last night, we have been solid defensively for the most part, but we've got to make some strides in that area. A lot of it just has to do with executing the game plan.
All right, talked about defense. We'll get to offense. Just a quick reminder to scan the QR code over to our left, and someone's going home with that autographed basketball tonight here from the team. What's been the key to having one of the highest point per game number in the country? This is from Nick Vanilla Lightning Swatko.
Vanilla Lightning Swatko, okay. You guys score
tons of points.
We score the basketball. We play a very analytically efficient style of basketball. We recruit to it. A big part of it is winning that possession battle. We like to have a lot more possessions than our opponent, and we definitely have a lot more than the average college basketball team, but also taking efficient shots, and I think that plays a big part in it.
You are second in the country, I think, in shots per game, just below 67 per game, which is a crazy number. To put that in perspective, I think the school record is around 57 shots per game. So you're going to blast that. You're going to beat that by 10, and you're going to blow away the point per game number. The current record, the first ever team, 83.8, and you guys are right around 90. So it gives you an idea of where you're at in historical.
Well, let's keep that rolling.
Oh, love it. All right, from Steve, how would you assess C.J. Brown's development this season, and what areas are you encouraging him to improve on?
CJ needs to be a lot more aggressive in a lot of areas, to be honest with you. We need a lot more out of CJ, and that's something that I've told him, and he knows that. CJ can bring us a lot more on the defensive end for sure. I think CJ's done a great job adjusting to the pace that we play at. That's not easy. He's never played at this pace before in his life, and when you're the primary ball handler, or PG1, if you will, it's not an easy task. And so CJ's adjusted well to that. We've got to get him finishing at the rim a lot better. We've got to curb the turnovers and get a lot better on the defensive end. But all in all, pleased with CJ's development. He's just going to continue to get better every single game.
No turnovers last night for him. In fact, Adriel, Gavin, and CJ combined for just 1 turnover. That combination had 8 at Temple, so obviously getting better.
Yes, absolutely getting better.
All right, I don't mean to pick the scab on this one, Coach, but Josh wants to know who your Super Bowl pick is. And the reason I said that was because Buffalo's not in it. Sorry.
I have no idea what you're talking about. The Super Bowl? Once the Bills stop playing, I'm done. I don't even. That's it. I'll tell you this much. It's sure as hell not the New England Patriots. So that's the answer.
Is that a Buffalo thing? Because every Buffalo fan hates New England.
That's a Buffalo thing. Yeah, absolutely. Hate New England, and some of you may not like this, but not a big Tom Brady fan either.
Every Buffalo fan says that too.
Yeah, there was a lot of torture over the years.
Listen, the Super Bowl is the second biggest game on Sunday.
Absolutely.
Around these parts.
Yeah, we'll be playing in a big game on Sunday.
Bulls in Tulsa at 12 o'clock noon. Coach, your all-time favorite NBA starting 5.
All-time favorite
this
NBA
is really
that's a tough
putting
question.
you on the spot here.
Yeah, let me think about that one before I answer. We'll come back to
over
it.
there. Okay. I'm not going to tell you this one is from, but this is a 2-parter. First one is, can you tell us about your passion for coaching love, and how can people donate?
Yeah, so my story, obviously, I was born to a teenage mother and was abused as a child, was set on a burning wood stove before I turned 2, was placed into emergency foster care, ended up staying in foster care for 2 years, and right before my 3rd birthday was adopted. And I was very fortunate on my end because there is a lot of foster children that go all the way through adolescence and don't get adopted. And one thing I'll say that I experienced and was able to see firsthand, my parents alone took in over 120 foster children as foster parents in their tenure, and obviously I was one of them. I grew up in a household where sometimes there was as many as 13 other kids in the house, and I was sharing a bedroom with 4 or 5 other children. One thing that I noticed was the strain that it put on my parents to provide for us. Foster care, it's not a lucrative business. The people that are foster parents aren't doing it to make money, to be honest with you. The money that they get is barely enough to provide for the foster children. And so when I created Coaching Love, it was to help bridge the gap and provide resources for foster children to chase their dreams when it comes to athletics. And, for me, it could be going to camp, it could be individual instruction, whether it's golf lessons or pitching lessons, or most commonly, a lot of times we just help provide sports equipment, whether it be cleats or a basketball or tennis rackets, whatever the case may be. But I know as a foster child myself and the children that I grew up with, sports was an outlet for us and what a lot would consider a pretty crazy and troubling childhood, and so helping bridge that gap is what we do at Coaching Love, and very fortunate that several of my assistants are on my board. They helped me start it. The best way to donate is coachinglove.org. There's a donation button on there. But also we take sports equipment, used equipment, new equipment, and disperse that. And we've already been pretty active here in Hillsborough County and Tampa, and only continue to build on those relationships to help provide as much as we can for foster children here locally.
Really good stuff right there. Second part of the question, by the way, this is from CEO of Athletics, Rob Higgins. He said, as a head coach, how much does it help to have the best assistant coaching staff in America?
It's a great question, and I'll tell you, I do have the best coaching staff in the country. Nothing bothers me more than when a guy gets a new job and leaves guys behind that help him get there. And one thing that I did when we took this job, and I say we because we all got this job together. I wouldn't be here without them. I truly have the best staff in the country. They make a lot of sacrifices to do what we do, time away from family, and they work their butts off, and they're passionate about what they do. They give everything they have to South Florida basketball, and at the end of the day, that recipe is going to lead us to a lot of wins here in Tampa.
Okay, that's Bryan Hodgson as he answers your questions here inside the Yuengling Draft Haus and Kitchen. One last question, Coach. What are your favorite restaurants in Tampa? I'm guessing the Yuengling Draft Haus and Kitchen would be one of them, because this is one of the reasons why we're here, because you liked it so much. And if you could meet anybody famous, who would it be?
That's a great question. Favorite restaurants? Obviously, the Yuengling Draft Haus is great. Big fan of our great supporters, the Gansmart family, and all of their restaurants. To be honest with you, if the Gansmarts have a restaurant, you can't have a bad meal there. So, Columbia, Casa Santa Stefano, I love Italian food, so that's a big one. All of them. I mean, you can't go wrong there. And then probably the other one is big fan of Roca Italian.
Okay.
So that's probably one of our go-tos when we're not at Columbia, Casa Santa Stefano. There's a lot of options in Tampa. Who was the second half?
The other one would be, who would you like to meet? Anyone famous?
Yeah, Michael Jordan, I think.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
You've never met him?
No, I've never met MJ.
Okay.
That's, believe it or not, that's.
I say it like I've met him.
Yeah, I mean,
like.
he does it. He's not just walking around. And he's in. I've been close. So I was on vacation, and he happened to be in the same area, and his family. Well, actually, the best part was going to the casino at the resort I was staying at, and the doors were locked. And I was upset because I was fired up to go to the casino. So I'm like, why are the doors locked? It doesn't close for another 4 hours. Well, Michael Jordan had rented out the entire casino floor, so nobody else was allowed in. But, man, to me, he's the greatest player to ever play the game and the ultimate competitor. It'd be cool to have a conversation with him for a couple minutes.
Well, it sounds like to me we have one of our starting five then. Michael Jordan.
Yeah, for sure. Michael Jordan's in that conversation, or is in that.
I'll give you one sub, too. If you can't get five, I'll give you six.
I'm going to go Shaquille O'Neal, most dominant player to ever play the game. All right, keyword is dominant, most dominant player to ever play the game. I'm going to go with guys that I got to watch. I hate when people go with guys that came before their time.
So no Wilt Chamberlain.
Yeah,
gotcha.
I know how good those guys were, but I didn't get to watch them, right? Tim Duncan, probably at the power forward. So Shaq, Tim Duncan, Steph Curry's probably got to be in the conversation.
Is he running the point?
Yeah, probably. I mean, he changed the game completely. Probably the best pure shooter to ever play the game.
Okay. So you need a small forward here.
Yeah. You know what? We're gonna put Kobe in the mix. We're gonna have a big lineup. So we'll go Steph, Kobe, MJ, Tim Duncan, Shaq, and we'll bring LeBron off the bench.
Okay. I was wondering where he was going to be. There's your sixth man. It's a pretty good sixth man.
Yeah, I think you can win some games with that group.
Yeah. All right. Just a few more minutes, Coach, and let's talk about the Tulsa game coming up. Great questions, by the way, from everybody here inside the building. Sunday, 12 o'clock noon against Tulsa. Battle for first place. Salute to service. Big deal here in Tampa because of McDill and everybody in the military, first responders, and all that. But they're 8-2 in the league. You're 7-3, and this is a huge game. This is for first place.
Yeah, absolutely. And not to mention we already beat them once at third place, so they'll be fired up. So the best thing I can tell you is we need the Yuengling Center rocking on Sunday. You'll have plenty of time to get out of there in time to watch the Super Bowl. So come out, support us. These guys deserve it. This is a big game for us to be in year one and here playing for first place. That's something that we're proud of. We're not complacent by any means, but we're proud of the process and where we're at. And I know it means the world to our guys when they run out of that tunnel and see a great crowd. And so tell a friend to tell a friend. Let's pack the Yuengling Center on Sunday.
Who knows where we're at in mid-March, but should you win this home game, you've got 2 victories over a team that you're fighting for first place against, which means you've got the tiebreaker on them, which would be huge.
Yeah, and one thing, and it's going to be the precedent here. Like we have the toughest schedule in the American Conference. Mm-hmm. Technically, we're number 2 behind UAB, and the only reason UAB is number 1 is because they've played us twice.
Right.
And so we've played the second toughest schedule out of anybody in the American. Tulsa's played the 8th toughest schedule, so it's not exactly brutal for them once they leave here. Our stretch after this is brutal. I mean, we go on the road at Wichita. You've got Memphis twice. Go on the road at FAU. You've got Charlotte at home. We've got a tough stretch. And, again, we play the toughest schedule. But that's what we signed up for. That's what we want because it's only going to help us down the road. But this one is pivotal.
So our next show will be February the 12th. The day before that, you will be in Wichita at the Roundhouse to take on a team that's one game behind you in the standings. Will be a huge game there, and they're 11-2 at home, by the way. Not that I need to remind you. So.
Yeah, they have a great home atmosphere.
Yeah.
Wichita basketball fans show up and are loud and proud, so it'll be another challenging one.
All right, that's going to do it for this edition of the Bryan Hodgson Radio Show. Our thanks to Steve Carney back inside our network studios, also to Derek Sharp, who is engineering here. Don't forget, scan the QR code. Somebody's going home with that basketball, and we'll announce that as soon as we sign off. Thank you for the questions as well, and thanks to Bryan Hodgson for another edition of the Bryan Hodgson Radio Show here at the Yuengling Draft Haus and Kitchen.